Cam McCall. You're Alan Cook, and we got to thank you for joining us right now. It's going to be a week packed full of activities and exciting competition, and we've already had 3 competitions the past few days.
Yeah, it's been an incredible week already, but we're here, we're now on broadcast. We're going to really start nailing down those events where our king and queen contenders really shine, and they're going to be able to push all the way to the finish.
Well, let's catch everybody up to speed on what some of the races have been earlier on in the week. The Canadian Open Downhill, aka the 1199 Downhill. It was all about Jenna Hastings finishing first place over Emmy Land by about 3 seconds. Jenna was on fire. And this course, Alan, you know a thing or two about this course. This is a real deal, raw, rugged downhill course. All the riders had nothing but great positive things to say about it.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to race this course last year. I decided not to race this year because I'm not in good enough shape to ride this course. It is top to bottom one of the gnarliest courses I've ever ridden, and amazing to watch these riders come through this fast.
I'm sure a few of you joining us from the comfort of your couch have ridden Whistler Mountain Bike Park and even taken a lap down something like Dirt Merchant or A-Line. You are so smoked by the time you get to the bottom. Can you imagine how fatigued you'd be after such a raw, rugged downhill course there? But it was, she made it look easy. Jenna Hastings taking the gold medal there. And for the men, everybody was talking about this youngster, Jacob Jewett, who took the win last year. It was all about Jacob and his brother, Dane Jewett, who had the 2 fastest times. Dane was racing the junior category last year, but all the pressure was on this man's shoulders coming into Sunday's run. He was the #1 qualifier. Final to drop. Here's a look back at his run.
Yeah, just finding his own here on this 1199 course. To come in with the pressure of winning last year, to qualify first, to come into this final run here that we're seeing, absolutely sending it, holding nothing back, and able to come across that finish line here in his home country in first place. Must have been an amazing feeling. Here, one of the most technical spots.
They didn't just hand it over to him. Second place, Dakota Norton. Really strong showing. Lucas Shaw in third. Tohoto, our reigning king of Crankworx, pulled down a 4th place and those 4th place points. Points is going to be something we're talking about a lot in today's competition, because with this being the final stop of 4, we're going to be giving away the crowns here at some point between today and tomorrow, both the Queen and the King crowns.
Yeah, there's about 5 or 6 men and women that probably have calculators sitting next to their nightstands at their hotels here in Whistler. Every single day, every single time there's another finish, they're adding up those points, seeing where they stand up, seeing if they still have a chance.
For sure, that's why I was excited and locked to my couch last Sunday watching, because I knew there was points on the line, and we've been following this all season. I was sitting on my couch when Kai Hearn had that crazy crash and, you know, went flying into the bushes. So I was one of the viewers, just like you, was going, is he okay? What's the story? We have an update for you on Kai right now. Check it out.
The next man, 23 years old, a former junior world downhill champion. Going to be plenty of pace here, Elliot.
Yeah, he's been riding so good this year. He's only 23. He feels like he's been around for a long time, but...
Oh! Oh my God! Oh!
Unfortunately, it was pretty rough. I got the news here that after the x-ray, they told me I had a compression fracture in my T12 and L1 on my vertebrae, but then got an ambulance straight down to Vancouver and got a CT scan where that was ruled out. And I mean, very fortunate that, yeah, there's no fractures at all. I didn't break a single bone and all the internal stuff's fine. So somehow I walked away, I mean, unscathed as such, but I'm really sore, and I'll definitely be having a few weeks off and recovering a bit. But I mean, I'm quite fortunate and feeling very lucky to be standing here and walking away from that as good as I really could be. And yeah, it was pretty freaky, but happy to be here.
Yeah, after a crazy crash like that, you could just hear Rob Warner and Elliot Jackson, their reactions. It was almost like a sniper took him out and he just flew into the woods, so it's great to get that update from him. Surprisingly, nothing broken. It's great to have him out here still being a part of the festivities. He was up there judging the whip-off last night.
Yeah, amazing crash. Where he actually stopped, he was about 50 or 60 feet away from where he first hit the ground. And when that happens, you just pop up and you kind of don't know where you are. And yeah, it's awesome to hear that he's okay, and he's going to be back riding again before you know it.
For sure. He's taking a break, but to all those riders out there who are competing in multiple disciplines out here, It's pretty grueling. So not only did we have the 11.99 Canadian Open downhill on Sunday, but then on Tuesday, Garbanzo downhill, all the way from the top of the mountain. We talk about 11.99 being a treacherous course, but these times, I mean, you are riding for ages when you compete in the Garbanzo downhill.
Yeah, I actually ended up doing about 4 or 5 practice runs with Sam Dale the other day, and this run is no joke. You see Katie right there getting up to the top of that hill. I walked up that every time. That's how steep it is. But yeah, slabs, gnarly technical route sections, some high-speed fire roads. It's really the best of the best from the top to the bottom of Whistler Mountain.
Georgia Astle, Richie Rude, you know, they got the fitness that it takes to win the Garbanzo downhill, so big congratulations to them. But some of our, you know, big names we've been talking about all season, like Jackson Frew, Gilly, Tohoto, they were right there. You know, Gilly second, Tohoto in 12th, and Jackson Frew getting points for 8th. And then Emmy Land picked up another second place in that Garbanzo. And we had Martha there, leader of the Queen standings there, sitting in 3rd. She got a podium in the Garbanzo downhill. And then last night, basically the exact opposite. These are all downhill races when you talk about 11.99, Garbanzo, and Air DH. But Air DH is the exact opposite of Garbanzo downhill. It's on a jump trail. It's on the world famous A-line, and it's probably one of the hardest trails to race for different reasons.
Yeah, it's basically a scrub fest from top to bottom. These jumps are built to just cruise down, and one flows into another. The trail crew here at Whistler Bike Park, they make it amazing. You don't have to hit the brakes, you don't have to pedal, but when these riders are racing, they're pushing the limits of the distance of the jumps and how fast you can actually go from top to bottom, and it is the most physical thing you could do.
Full different strategy. It's not a trail that was designed to race. It's meant for just flowing fun, and so it's always really entertaining to watch people race that. For the men, your leader in the King overall, Ryan Gilchrist, took the win, and then Jill, for I think it was the 10th year in a row, Jill Kintner won the Air DH for the women. She's a 5-time queen of Crankworx, and you know, we're shaping up for crowning a new queen of Crankworx this season. The big question is, who's it going to be? Our standings look a little something like this. Martha Gill, 952 points, right ahead of Jordy Scott and Shania Rawson. Shania Rawson getting big results already this week. She was 4th in the Garbanzo downhill, and Martha's not slowing down. We're seeing her post some really fast runs here in our competition today, the slalom.
Yeah, Martha really coming into her own, really becoming that Crankworx specialist. You know, we talked to her earlier in the season. She had, you know, tasted that podium and asked her, you know, are you focused on that, Queen? And she said, yes, absolutely, 100%. And throughout the season, she's only improved each event, each category, each discipline. She's really doing a great job this year.
It's a tough thing to set your sights on. You know, that crown at the beginning of the season, it seems so daunting. Some of these riders have competed in 14 to 15 different races in the span of these 4 different stops. And at the beginning of the season, we talk about Ryan Gilchrist, somebody who obviously can do it, but he's balancing so much on his plate. We interviewed him after the first stop, and we asked him if it's something he was setting his sights on. And he said his team manager had something that, you know, a request for him at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, he said, you know, that Crankworx title, yeah, we would like you to obtain that for us. And he has done absolutely everything he needs to do from that moment on.
I love that wording for some reason. He's sitting 194 points in the lead. So a lot on the line out here for today's slalom. He can do good things for himself. Bree caught up with him earlier.
Thanks, Cam. I'm here with our current leader of King of Crankworx, Ryan Gilchrist. Gilly, how much motivation does this give you coming into today?
Oh, a lot, big time. I've had a pretty good week so far, but I love slalom, and I love slalom in the boneyards here in Whistler, so looking to have a good race today and kind of just keep the overall off my mind and just put a big race down today.
Thanks, Gilly. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alan, it's always easier said than done, isn't it, when you hear people say, I'm going to try to keep that overall out of my mind and just focus on one run at a time. But if that guy's got it on the bike, he also has it between the ears. He seems to really be able to put together a good strategy and stick to it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Gilchrist has far and beyond the amount of years he's been racing. He's so methodical, he's so tactical, being able to keep that out of his mind as the pressure's building up, and especially on a course like this. I was chatting with Luca Cometti earlier. What is the keys to this track? He said patience. And when you have the pressure of the king, the pressure of the guy who's won the last couple of slaloms, it's hard to be patient out there, so we're gonna see how it all comes down.
Well, you know what? If you're joining us here, you come to the right spot because we got a great dual slalom race for you today. We also got a pump track race tonight, speed and style tomorrow, and then Red Bull Joyride on Saturday. And one thing we really love to do on these broadcasts is to share with you the experience and some of the souvenirs you can obtain out here at Crankworx Whistler. We got some merchandise you can only get, well, if you're here or if you contribute to the chat box on the Crankworx YouTube channel. We've got a shirt right here signed by none other than Ryan Gilchrist himself, Tohoto Arikipenny, the reigning king, Ronan Dunn, Martha Gill, and Kyle Strait. Let's talk about Kyle Strait. We haven't seen him all season on the Crankworx World Tour, but he's here right now for today's race, and he qualified second.
Yeah, Kyle looking unbelievably smooth up there. I'm not putting him down or anything. Kyle's a little bit bigger of a rider, and with the way the course is, how dry it is, that extra weight and him being on more of like a short travel trail bike, he's got an advantage being a bigger guy out here today.
And it doesn't hurt having just a lifetime of slalom experience, a slalom course in your backyard. He's also a guy who builds slalom courses and helps put together slalom races, so it's really exciting to have him here, a Crankworx legend, competing in the specialized dual slalom Whistler, not to mention a #2 qualification spot. He could be a big story out here for us today, especially when it's stop 4 of 4, and you've got these familiar faces out there who are looking for points. You get those spoilers that show up in Whistler and take some of those points away, so that could really play into our scenario as well. Kind of like Jill Kintner showing up for the Air DH again last night, when some of those Queen contenders are hoping to try to get that 100 points. Jill's like, nah, not too fast.
Yeah, we have an exciting rest of our week here with the 1199 being such a big and important downhill. We have a lot of World Cup downhill riders here. They train on slalom tracks. They train on these trail bikes. They're going to be pushing. So, we have Gilchrist, we have Tohoto, we have our contenders for the king and queen, but there's a lot of players that can get in there and get in the middle.
Well, we're getting close to racing here in the specialized dual slalom Whistler. Let's take a look at the course in this GoPro course preview.
Hey, I'm Bastian Steenbergen.
And I'm Martha Gill.
We're here for the specialized dual slalom.
And this is the GoPro course preview. Let's go.
Alright, we got some rolling about the start, so we'll step down and then into a bunch of berm.
Ooh, it's pretty loose already. Some pretty rutted out berms.
Flat corners over top of this thing, which will be tricky. It drops down pretty aggressively. Some more rollers.
I've got a roller section, manual, then into these flat corners. Oh, foot out.
Oh, Martha almost missing the gate. Oh, she missed the gate. DQ for Martha.
That's so loose. I beat Bass though. Good stuff. I missed the flag.
Well, the course is looking great. We got some top-notch world-class talent out there in the specialized dual slalom Whistler. I say we get this show going. Time to race. Let's do this.
Crankworx it's a crazy thing to be involved in.
It's hectic, but you're in it and you're just like loving it.
A reunion of friends and people in different cultures.
All these cool different locations, all these different tracks.
There's always so much stuff going on. People are just stoked on biking, and they're just stoked to be here.
Hearing so much energy around.
Yeah, we live for that.
Unreal.
Please make sure that your seatbelt is fastened.
All right, I am in. Fasten your seatbelts, race fans. It's time for specialized dual slalom Whistler from the birthplace of the Crankworx World Tour, the epicenter of all things gravity mountain biking. It is great to be back on a beautiful July afternoon. It's a good day for racing, it's not too hot, it's not too cool. And we got a pretty full-on dual slalom course out here. I remember this final straightaway last year really played into things. These flat corners are flagged aggressively. and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, one thing we always talk about is how technical the flat turns are. Usually they are at the end of the course. Well, they've added an extra level of technicality because the flat turns at the bottom here, they're actually at a side angle. So it's an off-camber turn on gravel in the dry, going as hard as you can to the finish. It's going to be really, really tight here at the bottom.
We're going to be picking up action here in the round of 8, which means these racers have had a long day of racing already to get to this point. But one thing we've learned after years and years of watching dual slalom racing, and after 3 stops on this 2024 season so far, these riders who really pace themselves to have their fastest run at the end of the day are the ones who are going to come out on top. And it's easier said than done as the pressure raises. The crowd here, course side, definitely plays into things. A look right now at our final 8 women here in our dual slalom race today.
Yeah, we're looking at those little numbers on the right side of those columns. That's their qualifying position. We see Martha Gill right here going for that queen title, doing what she needed to do, qualifying first. And then we have Jill Kintner qualifying second. That's that wild card. Those riders that are here that are not usually on the full tour, they can really mix up the overall points. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work together as the day goes on, seeing if we can get Martha Gill and Jill Kintner together for a gold medal matchup. How would that be?
Oh, it would be great. And that's exactly what we were talking about earlier, the fact that Jill shows up to this one and just really throws a wrench in the gears when it comes to all these points. And we're definitely here for it. It makes things that much more exciting to have a former queen of Crankworx showing back up to prove she's still got what it takes. She proved it last night in the A-line, taking her 10th win. And now we take a look at our riders at the top of the course, preparing to load into the gate. Our queen contenders this year, you know what? They emerged and they've just stayed consistent through all 4 stops. Jordy Scott, Shania Rawson, and the one leading the charge, Martha Gill. Martha with a pretty healthy advantage right now, 105 points ahead of second place, which is Jordy Scott. Shania Rawson back there with 792. Shania doing really well in the Garbanzo downhill, pulling off a 4th place, getting some points to add to her name there. This first heat, we're getting into that territory where every heat could be a final. That's what the round of 8 represents when you got all the top riders in the world showing up for Whistler. If there's one stop that you're gonna make it to, if you can pick one out of the 4, everybody shows up to Whistler. Something different here. I mean, that's why the Crankworx World Tour exists, is the energy that was born here. First year of the festival, 2004, and here we're back for another one. We got Martha Gill and Shania Rawson loaded into the gate. Martha Gill, your #1 qualifier, as you mentioned before, on that collision course with Jill Kintner, who's the #2 qualifier, but she's gonna have to get through Shania Rawson here, who's sitting 3rd in the Queen standings and qualified 8th today.
Yeah, Shania, also that contender in the Queen of Crankworx. This is not gonna be an easy one for Martha. She's gonna need to really have to stay patient, but also stay in front of Shania Rawson. The aggression needs to be contained because you have to be aggressive out of this gate. You have to bring it back just a little bit, get around these slippery corners. Let's see what she can do. Solid start right here out of Martha Gill. Shania Rawson keeping her very honest. This is one of the things I love so much about head-to-head competition in slalom. As they're going around the turns, each lane is shorter or longer, so they're gonna zigzag and trade the lead. But this is where it's all gonna come together into these final flat turns here. We see Martha Gill getting a little bit of a push off that backside of that jump that they passed. Not necessarily a berm that's built on the course, but she was using that to her advantage. And maybe that white side's just a slight bit faster, but these riders are gonna re-rack and go back up to the top and then go head to head again.
Yeah, that's really something interesting that you pointed out earlier on as we were watching this course, Alan, is that white course, left side of your screen, which means the rider's right side of the course, has that banked corner there close to the bottom. You really see the riders rocket ship into the lead down there, so that's something to keep in mind if you see a rider who's on the white course and run #2 who's got a disadvantage. But Eris Van Leuven really been turning some heads recently, going up against Ainoa Yurko.
And we see right there, Ainoa with that slight advantage out of the lead, that green bar, that's the whole shot award. Eris turning heads last night at the whip-off, right about this same spot on the course, going completely backwards, taking that title. But right now it's all about racing. She's getting a little bit of an advantage now. This is where it's going to tighten up. These flat turns, get pedals all the way to the finish. That's exactly how you do it.
Well, Eris van Leuven there, the junior world champion in downhill, taking the .23 advantage. And like you mentioned last night, her whips were so impressive. It was almost the first run of the day. Her whip was it was good enough to win it. First run out of the gate. So she has the advantage now going into their run number 2. Now we got Ella Connolly and Sophie Allen. Ella, number 3 qualifier today.
Ella is a consistent podium finisher in the EDR, the Enduro World Cup. So here in Whistler, enjoying the festivities. Why not take up, you know, some other categories? Let's start racing some other disciplines. Here we are at slalom. Let's do it.
Qualify 3rd. You prove to yourself that you can get on that podium, and then you just gotta put the pieces together and back it up.
Both riders locking in. You can hear the cadence, the UCI World Cup BMX cadence these riders are working off of. Looks like Sophie gets slight advantage there, getting the whole shot, but Ella quick to pounce in that first turn. Both riders are side by side as they're going in and out of these turns and over the obstacles, just trying to maintain the traction on those side knobs. That's that off camber section right there. They're going to be on the brakes so hard while turning and off camber. It's the last thing you want for traction, but they're going to have to navigate their way, and Ella comes across with a .9 advantage over Sophie. So they're going to go back up. They're going to switch sides. Sophie's going to get a chance on that other lane, which might be just a hair faster, but we're going to find out as this goes on.
And something we haven't mentioned, we got viewers from all over the world watching right now. If you haven't watched a dual slalom event before, each rider gets a run on each side. So we send them back up for run number 2. The fastest combined time after each rider has taken a pass on the black course and the white course will advance into the next round. We chop the field in half every round. Now we got your number 2 qualifier, Jill Kinder, in the gate against Janelle Sukup.
AC Jill rocketing out of the gate there. Years of experience in 4-cross and in BMX. But Janelle keeping her honest, staying right there. When you're racing in slalom, seeing your competitors out of the side of your eye, that's where it can trick you. You can push too hard when they're a little bit in front of you, or you can lay up a little bit too much. It's such a mind game when you can see your competitor right there, and Jill just able to squeak out that lead with a .108 advantage. So gonna be really tight as they re-rack and go back up to the top.
Yeah, Jill is a competitor. If you could say one thing about her, is she is very, very competitive. She took 4th place here in the slalom last year. You know she wants to deliver on that number 2 qualifying position, and she's playing her cards right now to be able to pull it off. Just tight advantage there, though, over Sukup. We got Martha Gill with .4 ahead of Shania Rawson. Van Leuven over Ayurko, and Connolly taking the lead in that heat as we get them back up to the top of the course to switch sides. I know you're all wondering who made it into the round of 8 for the men. Well, we're going to get a peek at that shortly, but right now we're just savoring the view that beautiful British Columbia provides for us. Great time of year to be out here. And we got a bit of an update for you. We're talking about this King of Crankworx overall standings. Of course, when it comes to dual slalom, and you're looking at the podium stats so far this season, you're seeing a lot of Tehoto Ariki-Penny. When you look at the overall standings, you're thinking, wow, 194 points in favor of Gilly. Tehoto's really going to need to perform today in slalom. Here's a look back at how things shook down in his preliminary round against the young BC talent.
Yeah, nothing really to point out here that Tehoto did wrong. Maybe just the intensity's not quite there. You know, qualifying 22nd, that's not where we're used to seeing him qualify. You know, different terrain really, you know, highlights different riders, and there you can see Tehoto pushing that front end and losing that advantage that he had, and unfortunately getting eliminated.
So Tehoto out means it really opens the door for your number 6 qualifier today. A little bit lower down the quali list than we normally see Ryan Gilchrist. You see his name right there in heat number 3 going up against Tegan Cruz. Now let's shift gears over into the race. instead of the King standings. Let's talk about who's the #1 qualifier out here today, Alan.
Yeah, Bubba Warren. You were noticing how many guys from San Diego that we might have to call this Slalom Diego. We got, in the top 5, we got 4 San Diegeites.
Well, take a look at that. Lindsay knocked out Kyle Strait in the round of 16. We were hyping him up. When you're looking at that round of 8 bracket there, you're going, well, where's the #2 qualifier?
Yeah, that's a good point. You set me up for failure right there. Thanks, Cam.
Kyle Strait out. Bubba Warren's going to have to carry the torch here for the San Diego Slalom Crusaders. Now, Austin Warren in the gate against Nicholas Nesterov, your #9 qualifier today.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen Bubba in this case before. Top qualifiers just maybe overriding a little bit. He's definitely going to use all of his years of ability and skill out here and try to bring that first place qualifier all the way to a medal. But right now, Nesterov has him on his heels as they come into this section. We saw Bubba getting that little bounce off, but Nesterov able to win on that black side. We haven't seen many of those so far, only the second one we've seen in this round.
Not where Bubba wants to be. He does not want to be back by any disadvantage and then put onto that rider's left side. It's going to be interesting to see if he can dig deep and carry that #1 qualifying position into the round of 4.
We talk so much about being patient, but man, it's such a fine line when you're riding against competitors at this skill level. #4 and #5 qualifiers right here. This is going to be a really tight matchup. Eddie Reynolds getting on the podium here last year. Jackson Frew winning. Let's see what they can do. Jackson with a slight advantage, getting a hole shot there. Eddie Reynolds slashing that turn, gaining momentum.
So high in that berm.
You can see Eddie just accelerating through the turns rather than slowing down like a mere mortal would. These riders coming side by side, and here comes Jackson.
Tight. Jackson taking that white course and using it to his advantage. So much easier to squeak ahead when you're on that white course. But Eddie Reynolds, one thing we can say about him is how consistent he is. 4th place in last year's dual slalom right here in Whistler, the 4th place qualifier today. Somebody who can always shake it up. He was on the podium in whip-off last night, and never count him out. But Jackson Frew, no slouch in the consistency category as well. 3rd place in the King of Crankworx overall. And when we're talking about King and Queen of Crankworx, it's all about the numbers. And we're going to be doing a lot of math this week. 1st place earns you 100 points. So doing quick math, considering there's this event plus 2 more to go. And we've got a 105-point lead for Martha Gill in the women's, 194-point lead for Gilchrist for the men, with Tohoto out, leaving the door open. But Jackson Frew, an opportunity to potentially move up into that 2nd place spot. But that's the guy right there we've been talking about all broadcast. Ryan Gilchrist, right side of your screen, the #6 qualifier today, going up against the #3 qualifier, Tegan Cruz. Tegan Cruz in the pump track in Rotorua earlier this year, finished 4th. It's his one big top 4 finish. Great to have him out here with a #3 qualification spot.
This is where Gilchrist really shines. When the riding becomes mental and methodical, he's such a smart rider, such a smart racer. He's not going to override.
I mean, that's what we've seen all season, but think back to what we saw last season, these final straightaways. So it can happen to anybody. That's why you can never predict this. How about that manual?
Yeah, Gilchrist getting the hole shot and then doing a line that we have not seen anybody else do. That gap to manual across, extending his lead over Tegan Cruz. Definitely no slouch, a previous winner of a slalom. Let's see what he can do. He pulls right next to him, but Gilchrist keeping it super, super honest. It's going to be a 0.099 advantage going to Tegan Cruz.
So way to go for Tegan Cruz right there, keeping Ryan Gilchrist honest. Gilchrist will have the white course in the next run, which we've kind of identified as being the course you want to be on if you're coming from behind. So that'll be interesting to watch. Right now we got Brady Stone, your number 10 qualifier, going up against Dean Lindsay. You gotta like this, a number 18 qualifier making it into the round of 8, just proving that anything can happen in slalom racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't count any of these riders out. Anything can happen out here. Brady with a solid hole shot right there. Dean Lindsay hard on the pedals, trying to make up a little bit of that time, already pulling side by side, just accelerating, barely staying on the top of that berm right there, getting through the rut, squirreling right around that gate right there, doing everything he can. Dean Lindsay's gonna be pushing real hard into the finish right here. Let's see Brady Stone able to hold on to it and keep it clean across the finish line. Man, Dean Lindsay was so close to the top of that berm. That's one of the things in this event. You're railing the turn so hard. You're fighting the G-forces with your eyes. You got to keep your eyes up at the exit of the turn, but then it just sucks your whole body in, and you slowly start to creep up the top, and you get over the berm. It's just a big explosion, but Dean able to hold on to it. Oh, looks like he's missing a chain there.
You know what, man? I feel like I saw that take place earlier in the day for him as well. We want to get that back on before the next heat, the next run of that heat. Here's a look at our advantage here after run number 1 in our men's quarterfinals.
Yeah, the pressure's definitely going to be on our number 1 qualifier, Austin Warren. He's got a little bit of a disadvantage there, but he definitely has what it needs. But Nesterov is not going to give it up.
Well, Cruz is going to be fighting, or sorry, Gilchrist is going to be fighting from behind. That's going to be a fun one to watch. He will have that fast course, that rider's right white lane. And then Reynolds, can Eddie Reynolds make up just under a quarter of a second from underneath Jackson Frew? He's going to be good second runs when we get back to the men, but right now it's time to refocus back to the women's field. And we will be doing some eliminations here, figuring out who's going to make it into the final 4, but we're under review right now. We get a little bit of a peek back. See if we had any gates missed. Yeah, I would say that's pretty definitive, Alan.
Yeah, unfortunately missed gates there for Dean. Not really gonna play a whole lot of difference. He's gonna get that maximum disadvantage there. Yeah, front wheel just on the inside. Watch how he slashes the turn. Actually got an incredible amount of traction for what's there.
So the way it works in dual slalom, if you miss a gate, the maximum differential will be applied to your next run. So 1.5 seconds is the max differential. And I love that format. Even if somebody falls, they still have a chance when you get them back up to the top of the course. And now time to take a peek at our run number 2 here in our quarterfinals for the women.
Yeah, possible upset right there in heat number 2. We see Van Leuven with an advantage coming in as the 12th place qualifier, so we'll have to keep an eye out in the next round. But right here, we got Martha Gill, everything on the line here today and the rest of this week here for her, going up against Shania Rawson.
So Shania on the fast course here with 0.44 to make up. Behind your number 1 qualifier, Martha Gill.
Martha Gill getting the whole shot, slight advantage right there. I think the course is a little more consistent up top, so she's gonna need to push and try to build that advantage up on the top half of the course for when it gets faster at the bottom on the white side. So Shania will have a slight advantage on the bottom. So here comes Martha. She's doing exactly that. She's got the advantage in. She's being really patient not to override these flat turns. Nicely, nicely played for Martha Gill right there.
That was a veteran move right there, taking it mellow in those final corners where you have the biggest chance of throwing it away. In the back of her mind, knowing she had a 0.44 advantage, so Martha Gill secures herself a spot into the semifinals. And that's a big move right there when you're leading the Queen of Crankworx standings to get into that round of 4. You get those 4th place minimum points. One more round to make it into the gold medal matchup for Martha Gill. Well, Martha Gill pacing herself nicely. Let's catch up
Martha,
with her.
you're through to the next round. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, feeling good. Feel like I've got faster since qualies, more confidence. So yeah, I'm stoked for the next few rounds. It's going to be fun.
Tough conditions out there. It looks like there's a bit of an advantage on the rider's right.
Yeah, I think the right side is slightly easier, but on both sides, the berms are getting so blown out, and these last corners are super loose, so it's all to play for.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Alan, something we all know because we're out here and we can see it and we're riding the lifts and sampling all the trails, but something we haven't mentioned yet is how dry the Whistler Bike Park is right now, and that's really playing into this dual slalom race.
Yeah, it's incredibly dry, and it's really the type of dirt it is. There's a lot of little, small, like marble-sized rocks, and that just, it takes away any opportunity for traction that you have and really is keeping these riders on their toes.
Eris van Leuven, right side of your screen right now, the junior world champion in the downhill discipline. She's got just under a quarter of a second advantage ahead of Ainoa Ayurko, the number 4 qualifier. Eris with 12th qualification. She's taken that pretty far here, finding herself in the round of 8 with an advantage. Here we go.
There we go, right there. Eris is slashing that turn, having to make up a little bit of a disadvantage she had on the start. Cranking between every single jump. She's pushing really hard, and she's gonna be coming down to these flat turns right here. That's where she's gonna have to be patient and not override it. Eris with that advantage. But here comes Ainoa, gets that advantage right there, comes across the line. Will it be enough? But no, Eris drops the hammer out of that final turn. Getting across that line and advancing.
How about that sprint right there in the 11th hour in that heat? You know, 0.23 of an advantage is nothing to relax on, and I love to see that. Last opportunity to get a couple of pedals, and she pulls it off. Not only defends that advantage, but crosses the finish line first. And Eris will be going up against Martha Gill in the semifinals.
Yeah, that was one of the best executed final sections I've seen right there out of Eris. But right now we got Ella Connolly and Sophie Allen. Both riders out. Sophie getting the hole shot right there. Ella has the advantage, but only a 0.021, so she's gonna really need to push up here where the course is more consistent. Ella slashing that turn right there. Let's see what she's got coming down in this off-camber slip section. And Sophie right here, she's gonna need to drop the hammer because that gap is really, really tight between the two of them. Coming through the flat turns. Looks like Ella has it well in control.
Well, Ella Connolly does it. She's got herself a ticket to the round of 4. And there we go. We got that familiar face of Jill Kintner, the number 2 qualifier out here today, multiple-time queen of Crankworx. Yesterday grabbing her 10th in a row Air DH win. She's got 0.1 of an advantage over Janelle Sukup.
Yeah, this is exactly the position you want to be in where Jill's at. She currently has an advantage and also on arguably slightly faster course, but Janelle is not going to just give it to her. She's going to push all the way to the finish here. Let's see what she can do. Can Jill keep it steady enough to advance on this white course? Will Janelle be able to push hard enough on the black side to be able to do it? Oh, and Janelle slides out a little bit right there, and down goes Kintner.
No way!
Just slightly out of the groove. The tires touch those marbles, and out from under her goes those wheels.
Well, there you go. There's something you don't see very often. A mistake from Kintner, and Janelle Sukup finding one.
That's the thing with head-to-head racing. It's never over until you've crossed the line. Looks like Jill maybe a little banged up there.
That right there is exactly what we've been talking about. You can take your most consistent performers, put them on a dual slalom course that's got loose, flat corners that are off camber in the final straightaway, and send them up and down that course multiple times in one day. And you know what? Anything can happen to even the most consistent riders. And that's something we'll remember as we get through these rounds here in both our women's and our men's field. There it is, front tire brakes, traction. No way you're saving that.
Yeah, just slightly oversteered coming into that section right there. And unfortunately, nothing to stop her from washing out.
So big upset and shake up there. Your heat number 2 matchup is going to be Ella Connolly and Janelle Sukup. And then Martha Gill, number 1 qualifier, is going up against number 12 qualifier, Eris van Leuven. And you know what? I think Eris is going to be a formidable opponent there. Going to keep Martha on her toes. And as we've seen, anything can happen. Doesn't matter if you're #1 qualifier. You still need 2 smooth runs to get through any bracket. Well, we got to thank all of you joining us from around the world to this festival of all festivals, Crankworx Whistler. It's truly one of a kind. We're going to just kind of bring you a feel of what it's like to be here through the Crankworx Instagram social media story feed. The energy in the finish corral, the energy up course side on the boneyard, it's kind of like a live music performance. You can't really record it and explain what it's like. You kind of have to be there to see the dust flying, to feel the sounds hitting you in the chest, the crowds roaring. I think the loudest I've ever heard a group of humans become was when Thomas Lemoyne gapped the whole final feature 2 years ago. Those are those experiences that we'll remember for years from Crankworx Whistler. And if you've been here before and that lift looks a little bit different, yeah, it wasn't running last year because they're rebuilding it. It is so much faster. You can fit more bikes on it, and the line goes so quick. So hopefully you're planning your next Whistler vacation, because it truly is the the best bike park in the world and the birthplace of Crankworx. There's nothing quite like it. All right, so after run #1, the round of 8 for the men, we got Nesterov edging ahead of Bubba Warren by a tight one. We got Jackson Frew a little bit ahead of Eddie Reynolds. Gilchrist is going to have a little bit of work to do. The man of the hour, the guy we're talking about so much because he's leading the king of Crankworx, and it is mathematically possible for him to wrap it up today. He does not want to see a red number alongside his name, signifying that he is behind. But, you know, it's entertainment for us. I'll take it.
Yeah, overall, king or not, Gilchrist wants to win today. I guarantee you that.
And you heard him say it in that interview. Overall is in the back of his mind being ignored. It's all about each run right here. I've been curious about this. Take a look at these fastest times of the day, Alan.
Yeah, Nesterov right there with the fastest time of the day. We were surprised with that win over Austin Warren, but not only was it earned, it was the fastest time of the day. So right now, Austin's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, don't tell Austin that Nesterov's got the fastest time of the day.
Austin getting that whole shot, pulling right alongside with Nicholas. Looks like Nicholas slid a little bit wide on there, so that might have slowed him down a bit, but man, they are neck and neck. Bubba is gonna need to push real hard right here, but he's gonna need to have to stay really, really precise on where his tires are. He needs to stay in the groove, drifting around the flat turns, pedaling all the way to finish. Man, that is tight. 0.068, not enough for our #1 qualifier, and Nicholas Nesterov will advance.
This is what it's all about in dual slalom racing, pacing yourself so you peak at the right time. But look at that. Austin Warren just snagged the fastest time of the day. Of course, it doesn't help him get through this bracket. It's a shame we're gonna see him hit the showers, but Nicholas Nesterov, first rider for the men to secure themselves a spot in the semifinals.
Yeah, that's that balance, that fine line of taking it easy and pushing hard on this track. Right now, Eddie Reynolds on that slightly faster course with only a .227, but Jackson Frew is not gonna give up anything right here. We've seen Jackson win a couple of these events this year. Let's see that. Jackson hammering out of the gate right there.
That was a fast start for Frew.
Eddie Reynolds looking really smooth and dialed, just kind of following right there. He knows what he needs to do. Jackson as well, he just needs to keep Eddie behind him in his peripheral vision, and this is where they tighten up really tight. Eddie with an amazing line into that last turn right there.
Eddie needed .22. It's only .045. He's not going to do it. That means Jackson Frew moves into the round of 4. He'll be going up against Nicholas Nesterov, and that's really going to help his campaign trying to move up the ranks there in the King of Crankworx standings. He's 27 points behind Tohoto for second place right now. So you got to think this is looking good mathematically for Frew. Big money on the line, not only for first in the King and Queen, but second and third as well.
Let's see if we can see what Eddie Reynolds did right here on these flat turns. Watch this line right here. He goes wide and bounces out. He hopped off that wall, squared up the turns, and made that a straight line to the finish line. Amazing.
Jackson, you're through to the next round. You won here last year. What are your expectations today?
After this morning and the day that I've had, I'm just pumped we keep going forward. Nearly put it down in that one again, which was interesting, but this track's getting really, really challenging. So just gonna keep pushing. Everyone around a 16 feels like a final, so we're just gonna keep going.
Keep pushing, best of luck.
Thank you.
I mean, it's great to hear right out of the horse's mouth there, because that's what it feels like to us as well. Each one of these rounds is so hard fought with such big names.
Looking at the fastest starts of the day right there, Gilchrist has that fastest start of the day, but he has a deficit right now, so he's gonna need to repeat that. Tegan Cruz pushing real hard at the bottom of this course the last round. Let's see what he can do. Gilchrist gets that hole shot right there, and Gilchrist is gonna push so hard, double tire drifting around the turns. Such a fine line out here on this. Tegan Cruz pulling a little bit ahead. Oh, and Tegan fully double tire drifting over the rise there.
Ryan Gilchrist so aggressive here. He needs .099. Oh, what's it gonna be? Oh, .082. He is not going to do it. Tegan Cruz knocking out the warrior, Ryan Gilchrist.
Yeah, we might only be in the semis right there, but you see that fist pump out of Tegan Cruz. He knows he just did a big thing right there.
Wow. Look how hard Ryan Gilchrist is pushing this left-hand corner.
A couple little bobbles out of Gilchrist that I hadn't seen before. Just enough to allow Tegan to really come through, but you know, Tegan with an amazing clean run right there. Look at that, double tire drifting, getting on the pedals, straightening the bike out, giving it everything he's got.
Yeah, great job for Tegan Cruz right there, keeping his composure. Any small bobble, and Gilly was right back there pushing the Cruz, knocking out Ryan Gilchrist, just really giving us an interesting scenario coming into tonight's pump track and tomorrow's speed and style.
So we're looking back at the previous run right here. We saw a missed gate, so it's gonna be a max differential right here. Something special is gonna need to pop out if Dean Lindsay's going to be able to transfer.
In this scenario, Brady Stone just basically needs a smooth run, but as we typically bring up, sometimes that's daunting. You ride as hard as you can all day. It's hard to hit the rev limiter. You only know one speed out here, and it's full gas.
Yeah, definitely. Brady just needs to keep his competitor Dean right there in his peripheral vision, behind him if possible. But he has that 1.5. As long as he has him by a bike length, it's going to be a clean run for Brady.
Dean pushing hard.
Yeah, let's see what Dean's got on these final runs. Oh, look at that little scando into that third turn right there. That was a clean final straight for Dean Lindsay right there, but not going to be enough. Brady Stone will advance.
It's going to be Brady Stone and Tegan Cruz. How about Tegan Cruz, man? He out here on home turf, always seems to be able to pull out a good result. Last year it was a pump track result with a road to start this season.
Did you see that?
Drift.
I missed that in the first one. Dean came completely sideways, drifting over that rise. Somehow able to hold it on. Now watch Dean right here. This is where riders are making up their time. Bounces off that landing and squares it up. Scandoed in, and that completely straightens up the whole rest of that final straight.
Taking some rally car moves.
Yeah, Colin McRae representing with that Scando.
I'd say one thing we're seeing here with both the women's and the men's category is quite different from the first three stops. First three stops, we've seen a lot of occasions where first, second, third, and fourth qualifiers are into the semifinals. Right now, we got 9th and 5th in one heat, and 3rd and 10th in another heat. What do you attribute that to?
I think it's 100% the technicality of this course. It's such a fine line. It's a lot steeper angle than our slalom courses usually are, but they still have all of those flat technical turns. So it's really kind of pushing those things together, and that line is getting thinner and thinner as the day goes on.
I also like to imagine as well that we have so many more riders competing, ones that maybe haven't competed in all 3 of the first stops, and Whistler really just brings out all the crazies, and last night's whip-off was no exception. If you missed it, check this out. All about getting sideways, but there's no shortage of huge tricks for the crowd as well.
Yeah, bringing whip-off here in Whistler down to the Boneyard was probably the smartest thing that anybody could have done. Just a party on your bike, one of the most fun hour sessions you can have with your friends. And as you can see, yeah, Superman's, heel clicker backflips, we saw front flips. Just, you know, the crowd and the emotions, you can't not just send it. That's just the way it works out there.
I would say the crowd was insane last night, the amount of people that were out there on a Wednesday night and getting so loud. And I kind of was thinking this is something that contributes to the crazy quality numbers into the round of 4 that we see in the men and women for the slalom today. Is like, how do you deal with the crowd and the fact that, you know, Whistler carries with it so much magnitude? It definitely played into last night's whip-off. People were riding way out of their comfort zone, and it made for a great show.
Yeah, out of your comfort zone. That's the only way to get on the podium of a whip-off, is a near-death experience.
It's like, it sounds like, you know, you're exaggerating, but it's kind of true. A few riders out there landing completely 90, and, you know, it was all about getting 90 in the air and landing absolutely straight. Aris van Leuven was able to do that and take the win for the women. Hayden Zablotny, consistent all session, took the win for the men. And of course, we're gonna just continue building the energy all week out here until we cap it all off with Red Bull Joyride on Saturday. It's gonna be going down 4:00 p.m. local time here. Check your time zone and set your alarm. You're not going to want to miss it. A lot of story coming into that one as well. David Godziak has been dominating this season. He has the opportunity to win the Triple Crown. Emil Johansson obviously wants to swoop that opportunity out from under him. Don't miss that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. I mean, for Godziak, it's the Red Bull Joyride, the Triple Crown, the FNB overall. It's all on the line for him in one day, so it's gonna be exciting.
Well, we're in slalom right now, and it's all on the line here as well. We're into the semifinals for both the women and the men. Let's get it going here for the women. We're going to have Martha Gill going up against Aris van Leuven. And I mean, we can just continue this conversation here. We do still have our #1 qualifier in the game, Martha Gill, but we got 12th, 3rd, and 7th. Van Leuven versus Gill. Van Leuven, the junior world champion. This would be a pretty exciting story if she's able to not only win the whip-off last night, but then swoop out from under the #1 qualifier and the leader of the Queen standings right now. Big opportunity for the youngster out here, Aris van Leuven.
Also a podium in the Canadian downhill, so it's been a heck of a week for her, but she could put the cream on top right now and take this win, but she's got to get through Martha Gill, our #1 qualifier, so tall order here still for Aris.
Aris, the Kiwi, a lot of world-class talent coming out of New Zealand the past few years. Of course, our reigning king, Tohoto Ariki Penny, from New Zealand as well. Here we go.
Both riders out of the gate. Martha getting that whole shot. Pulling up right side by side. That's one of the things we love about this head-to-head competition. Oh, and a little bit of a delay there out of Van Leuven coming out of that turn, but it didn't seem to bother her too much. Gapping in, you see Martha Gill staying on the ground, keeping her tires in traction. Really just kind of tiptoeing through there. Okay. Martha doing exactly what she needed to do.
That is a manageable deficit there for Van Leuven, though. 0.22, and she'll get to go take her next run on that white course. But Martha, from that run we just saw, knocked Van Leuven down to 2nd in the fastest times of the day. So, I mean, this is a matchup right here. These are the 2 fastest riders of the day in the women's category, Van Leuven and Gill. And that next run of that matchup is going to determine a lot. Right now, it's all about Ella Connolly and Janelle Sukup.
Okay, riders, random start.
Both these riders on more short travel trail bikes, a little bit bigger knobby tires. It's exactly what you want on a course like this. More suspension, bigger tires, more traction, more speed. And Janelle doing what she needs to do right now against Ella, getting the whole shot, coming out, just really riding poison in control, getting pedals in where she can, early braking over that little slippery zone, and then accelerating into these final turns. Let's see if Janelle can hold on, and here comes Ella. There it is right there, Ella bouncing out of that turn, squaring up these bottom flat corners and pedaling across the finish into the lead with a .271 advantage over Janelle. Janelle had that lead for 90% of the run.
I know. That's what's so crazy about that white course. You can really hit the boosters in the bottom section and come out with the advantage. And that's why you can never count a rider out when they have a disadvantage, but they get to ride that white course in their second run. So Jackson Frew, right side of your screen right now, going up against Nicholas Nesterov. Nicholas Nesterov knocked out the #1 qualifier in that last round, knocked out Austin Warren, and now he's looking to do the same here with Jackson Frew.
One of the things that Jackson is super, super good at is sizing up his competition. He's watching the other runs. He's watching the other riders out there building. He knows exactly what he's up against. So he's going to know, even though he hasn't been listening to me, he knows he needs to push at this top section. So let's watch right here. Nesterov with that hole shot. Oh, it switched on me. Jackson got the hole shot. Look at Jackson railing those turns almost completely parallel to the ground around that berm, nearly dragging his handlebar, extending his lead just a little bit, but here comes Nesterov. This is where these courses come together.
Well, Jackson Frew doing what Jackson Frew does. He was the winner here last year. He's been podium perfect all season so far this year. And he's the leader of this matchup right now with .26 ahead of Nicholas Nesterov. Now Frew logging the fastest time of the day, exemplifying that veteran dual slalom tactic of having your fastest run be the last one you do. Positioning himself very well here.
Yeah, I was a little surprised out there. At first it said Nesterov had got the whole shot, but switched back. So Frew staying on point right there. Look at that pre-hop into that section. Able to get his tires on the ground about 10 feet earlier than Nesterov. That's just going to be traction, control under braking. And right there, a rare advantage out of the black course. So Jackson looking really good. Speaking of looking good, Tegan Cruz, fresh off of eliminating our fastest qualifier.
Do not count Tegan Cruz out. Tegan Cruz, #3 qualifier, going up against Brady Stone right now, run 1 of their semifinal matchup.
Tegan with a solid start right there. Whole shot goes to Tegan. And Brady railing that second turn right there, drawing right side by side. Getting a little bit better corner out of there. Sliding down that descending off camber. It's blind entering that. It's so difficult around these flat turns. Brady looking really good right there. So another advantage on the black course. I don't know if the course is developing. Sometimes ruts can develop mid-race, and which side is faster can change. So really being able to stay on your toes and watching the other riders and knowing where the course is developing is going to be a real big key as we wind our way up to these medal matches.
Let's take a look back right here, see which riders are able to be adaptable to this changing course, and see if maybe we can find some holes here that are contributing to what we're seeing in the times.
Brady was able to get a lot of momentum out of that turn right there. And then this right there, you see Brady's front tire starting to slide out, squaring up those turns. That is interesting. Even on the black side where we were seeing riders on the white course able to bounce off that berm, I think the rut is getting deep enough, because right there, Brady Stone fully hopped to the high side of the course, able to square up those bottom flat turns similar to how they have on the white course. So I think the courses have actually come together and become more comparable.
Well, nothing's a given out here as the course continues to change. Well, Bree's hanging out with somebody who knows changing course conditions, Elliot Jackson.
I'm here with Elliot Jackson. Elliot, how's your Crankworx going so far?
I think this is one of the best Crankworx I've ever had. I mean, downhill was one of the most insane races we've ever seen. Jacob Jewett and Jenna Hastings. I got to judge Deep Summer, so that was cool. I love all the events here, and it's good that it's picking back up.
You're enjoying the Dual Slalom. What's it going to take to win on a course like this?
I think this track is so loose. I mean, we saw Jill crash, so this track is like you really have to push. There's some really nice edges in the berms that you can make up time in. And then once you get to the bottom, it's just like trying to be smooth, not make mistakes. So aggressive and smooth.
We saw the leader of the current King of Crankworx standings go down and get knocked out. Who's your pick to win?
Ooh, Martha. I mean, she's looking really good. I don't know, I hear some crowd back there. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those races where anyone can take it. That's why Dual Slalom is so hard, because it's so easy to make mistakes.
Thanks, Elliot. Enjoy the race.
Thank you.
Great to have Elliot still hanging out. He was, of course, in the booth alongside Rob Warner for the Canadian Open Liège on the 1199 course. And you know, you always stick around Whistler after your obligations are done because it's the best place to ride in the world.
Yeah, the bike park is definitely a good reason to come early and stay late.
So last year, dual slalom racing, I mean, we've been talking about the consistency of Jackson Frew this year with a second, a third, and a first. He was first place last year. Let's take a look back at how he did it. So Jackson Frew's running that 26-inch bike. I believe he's riding the same bike today as he was running last year. And you remember how crazy it was? We had that double DQ with the 1.5 missed gate and the crash, and Jackson Frew ended up being the gladiator to just keep pushing through and get back up there and take the gold medal.
Yeah, you know, now that you mention it, similar mindset than what he just said he has here today. He's just happy to be here. He's just going one step at a time, and it seems to be working.
Are you surprised to see him just be so successful on that smaller bike? I mean, that is what a traditional dual slalom bike was at the beginning of the discipline. You know, a short travel, 26-inch dual suspension bike.
Yeah, I'm really, really impressed, and I'm watching how he's entering and exiting the corners, and it's all about precision. That smaller bike does make it a little bit easier to be precise, but that margin of error, that line is much, much tighter.
And then in the women's category, it was all about Harriet Burbage-Smith, a rider who has been setting her focus on slopestyle this season. So we haven't been seeing her participate in many of the other disciplines like slalom, like speed and style, but we know she has what it takes to win because she did it just a year ago.
Yeah, this race was so good against Ferguson right there. You know, she was so pumped to walk away with this win, and it was bumping her up, and it was all the points she needed, really pushing her. She was kind of looking for that queen then, came up just a little bit short with it. But man, I do miss seeing her out on these other ones, but I do like seeing her really push it on that Joyride course.
Yeah, I mean, you miss seeing her, but it's going to be worth it when you get to see what she's doing in slopestyle. Just the story with women's slopestyle this year has been so exciting. We look at the progression of the men's side of the sport. It's been going on for 20 years, and there's some big milestones that have taken years and years to accomplish, and then the women are just reaching those same milestones but at a rapid pace.
Yeah, the learning curve is the steepest I have ever seen, and it's proof. You know, you give them the platform and they're going to come out and perform. The difference between Rotorua and Innsbruck was light years difference. I mean, upping the game, one-upping themselves, new tricks almost every round that we've seen them on the course. I'm really excited to see them let loose here.
And some of those tricks that you see them doing in training at home that we haven't seen on the course yet. So much excitement just to watch the progression and really be able to track it. It's also, for some of the viewers out there who maybe don't follow men's slopestyle, it's easier to follow because you have these just momentous occasions where these big tricks are landed world first in competition. It's happening every event. So next brackets we're going to see is the women's round of 4 run 2 out there right now. We're going to figure out who we're putting into the gold medal matchup. But if you're out here at the venue, you're not just watching the finals. You've got a little bit in your peripheral vision as well, and that's the riders taking to the Joyride course, getting their practice runs in. Just a couple days left until that Joyride final.
Yeah, they're figuring out their speeds, exactly what it's going to be. They're kind of looking at the weather. Okay, is it going to be a little windy during the competition? Is this one I need to practice? So much goes into it. They're practicing section by section, and then tomorrow we're going to get to see them put it all together.
Yeah, you always feel like you're missing out on something when you're at the venue village here in Whistler because there's so much going on. The vendors is exciting. Everybody's got fun stuff going on at their booths. So you're like, I want to do this, but I want to go up there and watch slope practice. You can't go wrong though, you know? Get on the lifts and do a couple laps for yourself. That's what everybody's doing. That I'm taking a peek at right now, loading up on the Fitzsimmons chair, the newly redesigned high-speed chair. And there's our peek at our women's brackets where we're sitting right now. Martha Gill put it down in run number 1, but a very manageable gap there. Van Leuven, 0.22 behind. Still an opportunity to sweep the rug out from under Martha Gill. And Ella Connolly with a 0.27 advantage. We got really similar gaps between these two heats. And as we've seen, do not count those riders out with the red next to their name, especially with this deteriorating course. We talked to Elliot a little bit about that through Breeze, talking about those holes at the bottom. It's a gamble to try to go above those holes. You see some of the riders able to thread that needle.
Yeah, I mean, you can be so creative. It is only one line all the way down, but so creative on how you pre-hop holes. We've seen some of the riders hopping into a few of the features, able to get their tires on the ground sooner, brake earlier, and accelerate through the turn. So, you know, it does look a bit basic, this track, but it's so technical because of the conditions that it's really anybody's game.
Well, riders in the gate right now, so we're about ready to drop our next heat. We see Martha Gill on screen right now, getting warmed up. She will be going up against Eris Van Leuven. Martha has the 0.22 advantage.
Let's have some fun, eh?
I like that. You hear that? Let's have some fun.
Yeah, Martha's having a good time out here. I like to see that. Look at, between these two riders, all 5 fastest times of the day.
And, you know, it could be for the gold medal, but the way this format works, only one will move on into that final matchup. The next rider will go into the bronze medal matchup. So still, if you don't make it out of this round, still an opportunity to get a medal and some points. But big opportunity here for your whip-off champion from last night, the youngster out of New Zealand, Eris Van Leuven. Big things coming for her. You gotta imagine with what she's doing on the World Cup circuit, what she's doing right now, racing these different disciplines at Crankworx, and I've seen some free ride clips from her. It just seems like there's nothing she can't do. And so that's why I'm not counting her out of this heat right now, despite being back by 0.22. We talked about the deteriorating course. We're getting some water right now. That's going to help. It's going to shake things up, if nothing else.
It's definitely going to shake things up. You know what I wonder is, I'm wondering if Eris and Martha can see the track getting water right now.
Seriously.
That can change the traction quite a bit. I mean, the water's going to absorb really fast and dry really fast on this dry dust out here, but you know, they're going to have to be on their toes because it is changing course conditions, especially when it's getting watered.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see this run then, because you know what it's like when you come in and, I mean, just a minute or two of time for that water to soak in could make such a difference. We got Remy Morton. Is that Remy Morton out there spraying it down?
Yeah, Remy and the Flux crew out here for the last few weeks building this course. They built the speed and style course as well as the whip-off jump. Thank you, Remy, for building a nice whip-off jump. That was delightful.
Just throw a curveball right now, all right? All right, you're in the batter's box, ready to take your pitch right now. And we're gonna throw him a curveball. Watered berms. You know what's interesting too, is it's like, well, they watered some of the berms, didn't water all the berms, so you're gonna have any mud caked into your tires? We're about to find out.
It's like a fast curved knuckleball. It's all of them.
It's all of them, a fast curved knuckleball slider. Van Leuven with 0.22 to make up. And this has always got to make things a little bit more interesting when you got to sit in that gate. The mental side right now coming into play.
Yeah, definitely a little advantage in this situation to Martha. You know, she's been here before. She's been doing these events for quite a few years. She's been competing for a long, long time. Eris, just a junior, hasn't been in so many situations. She's looking pretty loose and comfy up there too, though, so we'll see how it pays off.
I feel like Remy just took matters into his own hands. He's like, I know this is going to stall things out, but this berm's getting ridiculous. Just water it, brush the dust, fill those holes into that. You know, that's the technique right there. And if anybody knows how to butter up a berm, it's Remy Morton.
Heard a course clear there, so maybe we're going to be getting going here.
fresh section of the course coming up, courtesy of Remy Morton. Martha Gill, #1 qualifier. You got the Cinderella story there, Aris van Leuven. 12th place qualification. Impressive already, making it into the round of 4. But if she can get into this gold medal matchup, it's really going to be something. Here we go.
All 5 fastest runs of the day on course right now, but only one of them will advance. Martha Gill getting that hole shot. She's on that course that's been a little bit slower, but Aris just slamming in and out of that turn, putting the pedals in everywhere she can, double tire drifting down the off camber. But Martha just staying poised and completely controlled, and this is where they're gonna come together, and Aris overcooks it, somehow stays on the trail, and does not get a DQ, but Martha Gill showing that composure that she has, able to advance. What a run.
Wild run from Van Leuven there. Pushing hard, knowing the opportunity that was at her fingertips. You love to see a rider push like that, and we will see Van Leuven in plenty more high-pressure situations, I'm sure. Hopefully she joins us at more stops on the Crankworx World Tour next year. We'll see her in the bronze medal matchup. The question is, who will be joining Martha Gill in the gold medal matchup, and who will join Aris in the bronze medal matchup? Ella Connolly with a .27 advantage over Janelle Suka.
Yeah, .271 is about a blink of an eye right here. Pretty even between the two of these riders. Ella Connolly looking really good out here. Not someone we see usually on the Crankworx Tour, but a top competitor in the World Cup Enduro. But she gets a hole shot right there, like she's been doing it for years. Just rocketing out of the gate. Slight advantage on Janelle right there. Looks like Janelle might be in a little bit of the wrong gear. Able to work it out right there. Track's only gonna get faster, so maybe it's gonna pay off down at the bottom, but Ella looking really clean here through these bottom turns. Doing what she needs to do, keeping that advantage on her side, able to advance.
Yeah, smooth, clean run there out of Ella Connolly. But man, it's gonna be a game changer when she goes up against Martha Gill in the final matchup for the gold medal.
Yeah, Ella Connolly moving on. She's gonna match up against Martha Gill, someone that she's competed against many, many times in the Enduro World Cup season, but not on the slalom. So it's gonna be really cool to see these two riders come together and push each other all the way to the finish.
So there it is, rising to the surface there. The first and third qualifiers in today's specialized dual slalom for the women. Martha Gill and Connolly will go up against each other in the gold medal matchup. The stage is set for the women. Now we got to do the same for the men. Jackson Frew with the advantage. Nicholas Nesterov. We're seeing so many differentials in the quarter of a second vicinity. Another tight one here. Nicholas Nesterov is gonna have to push through and see if he can make something happen.
Well, Nesterov getting the hole shot, doing what he needs to do, and these courses have really come together. So earlier in the day, I'd say Jackson has a big advantage, but right now he doesn't. He absolutely doesn't, because Nesterov is just in front of him as they're coming into this bottom flat technical side of the track. Let's see what he can do. Nesterov looking really fast, maybe going over a gate there, I'm not sure.
Well, that was not going to be enough. Jackson Frew taking all that strategy that put him at the top step of the podium here last year and giving himself an opportunity to do it back-to-back. Frew into the gold medal matchup. Nesterov into the bronze medal matchup. Who will join them? This next run will determine it. Tegan Cruz, .15 behind Brady Stone.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Tegan Cruz has been picking up on where the riders are gaining speed on this rider's left course. Solid gate out of Tegan Cruz right there. Brady Stone going to be pushing all the way to the bottom. Such a smooth rider. Is it going to be enough today, though? Needs some intensity if he wants to be able to pull up ahead and make that gap. Tegan Cruz looking super clean. This is where they're going to come together. super technical flat corners, and here comes Brady.
Cruz needed 0.15. He does not cross the finish. Yep, it's going to be Brady Stone. Tegan Cruz fighting for it, though.
Man, Brady just staying unbelievably patient and waiting to the exact moment he needed to strike right there at the bottom.
What a performance out here today from Brady Stone.
I'm kind of wondering where Brady and Martha went to dinner last night. I believe they are partners, and I need to go this fast.
Yeah, whatever they were eating is definitely working, and we're gonna have to get on that. Well, Brady Stone and Jackson Frew will face off for the gold medal. And Tegan Cruz an opportunity to pick up a bronze. He'll be going up against Nicholas Nesterov. A lot of tight racing out here today. And, you know, we talked so much about how this course is challenging. We saw how challenging it was last year with that big crash from Ryan Gilchrist. One thing I would say we're noticing here this year is a lot of consistency out of our riders and some really tight matchups. We've seen some way bigger deficits earlier on this World Tour. We're seeing a lot of really tight battles here in the quarter of a second range and even tighter. So the stage is set right now. Nesterov and Cruz will battle for the bronze, and Jackson Frew. Can he make it 2 years in a row? He was the winner here last year, but Brady Stone is proving he has what it takes to take that 10th place qualification position and knock out anybody in his path. Really impressive what he's been able to do. Let's throw it down to Bree, who's standing by with Brady.
Brady, you are through to the gold medal round. How does that feel to you?
Yeah, it feels amazing. I really didn't expect it, so yeah, stoked to just make it this far, and we'll see what happens.
We saw them watering down the track before your run. Did it give you any more traction?
There was definitely, well, it actually made it a little bit worse, I think. All that loose dust just got wetted, so it was a little bit muddy almost, but the ruts are still there, so plenty of support, I feel like, so yeah.
What's it going to take to beat Jackson?
I think it's going to take everything, I'll give it my best.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, at least he knows what it's going to take. It's going to absolutely take everything he can muster up to take down the man who won it just a year ago. If you want to win something and you're watching us on the Crankworx YouTube channel, we have this nice piece of Crankworx Whistler 2024 merchandise. Not only is it, you know, a cool yellow t-shirt that's going to keep you from getting hit by a car in a crosswalk, but it's signed by some of the fastest riders in the world: Kyle Strait, Martha Gill, Ronan Dunn, the reigning king of Crankworx, Tohoto Ariki Penny, and Ryan Gilchrist, the guy who's trying to win it this year. And the way you win this is it's way easier than winning a bike race against the fastest riders in the world. You just got to comment something entertaining, something funny in the comment box on the Crankworx YouTube. Do it, entertain us, and we will send this shirt to you wherever you live in the world. There's no stipulations. If you live in Antarctica, we'll figure out a way. We'll get it to you.
You're gonna bring it to him, right?
Not me, but we do. I heard we have people for that. We have a shipping department here at Crankworx.com. We'll get you an awesome shirt. So if you're just joining us, well, we're right down at the business end of things. We have our bronze medal matchup and our gold medal matchup set for both our women and our men's category. Let's take a look at a little recap. Catch everybody up, why not? Here we go, Martha Gill, the name we've been talking about the most in the women's category, not only because she's leading the Queen of Crankworx, but because she's been charging all season. Here's a look at Rotorua to start the season off this year. She took the win over Keilani Hines. And then second stop, you know, she's always a part of the conversation, but a little bit further back, you know, you never know what's going to happen. We had Jordy Scott take the win there. Martha was down in 5th place, but in Innsbruck, here we go, Martha and Jordy coming together and, you know, making Martha earn it here. And you know, Jordy is somebody that we've been talking about all season as well. Hopefully we see her for Speed and Style tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Jordy coming into her own in Speed and Style. She was saying how, oh, maybe I'll do it or maybe that, and she's getting podiums every time she does it. So yeah, I hope to see her out here on Speed and Style.
Well, let's catch you up on the Queen of Crankworx overall standings right now. Martha Gill is ahead by 105 points, but she secured herself a spot to earn minimum 80 points here for second place in today's dual slalom, which is going to do her, you know, a world of wonders, extending her lead over Jordy Scott, who is not here in our slalom show right now in the big point rounds. Caroline Buchanan down there in 5th. She's our reigning queen of Crankworx. She's been just focusing on slopestyle this year, which has been really entertaining and leaving the door open for some of these other competitors.
Yeah, definitely changing the narrative when it comes to slalom, when it comes to speed and style, and really focusing on her slope style stuff. And it's really cool because it has opened up the door for some other riders, some other stories, and that queen is wide open now.
Shania Rawson has just always been there all season. So incredibly consistent, always on the podium. She was 3rd in the dual slalom just at the last stop, and she's already had a good result out here this week. She got 4th in the Garbanzo downhill, 13th, now 8th in the Canadian Open downhill. And I was counting how many events some of these riders have done. Now, focusing just over to the men's category, I counted up, it was 14 events that Ryan Gilchrist has competed in. Tohoto and Fru have competed in 15 events. I think Gilly decided mid-season, you know, I better just try out this speed and style thing, and it paid off for him. He picked up some points in Innsbruck, and now he's sitting there with that 194-point lead over Tohoto. But it's time to get back to racing here in our specialized dual slalom Whistler. This is the business end of things here. Time to give away some hardware. We're going to be taking a look at bronze medal matchups. First to load into the gate will be the bronze medal matchup for the women. Eris van Leuven, Janelle Sukup.
Every event that I've seen Eris in, she's been on the podium this week, so she's definitely not going to want to stop doing that here in the bronze medal matchup. She's going to be pushing hard to keep that streak alive.
She knows what it takes across a multitude of different disciplines. She took the win in the whip-off just last night. Let's see if she can pick up a bronze medal. Eris van Leuven on the left side of your screen, Janelle Sukup on the right.
One spot to keep an eye on Eris, where we saw her get loose last time, that little rise into the off-camber drop. Let's see what she can do, getting a solid hole shot right here over Janelle. This is where Janelle was really, really strong, just poised through these turns and able to accelerate really hard. Eris pedaling in and out of every turn, maybe getting more pedals than everybody on course. They're able to get through that spot where she had some trouble last run, extending her lead over Janelle, coming down to these flat turns, just keeping it smooth. Double tire drift, able to hold on to it.
Look at that, Eris putting the max differential on Janelle Sukup of 1.5 seconds. Man, she was pushing hard at the bottom. You love to see a rider push hard when you know they can't see their competitor. They have an obvious sizable lead, but she still put it all on the line in this final section. Look at that.
Yeah, double tire drift, straight back on the pedals. She's so methodical where she's getting her pedals in. She's getting more pedals than any of the other riders. We see the double tire right there, able to save it, pedal out of it, straighten it up all the way through the finish. That is how you finish off a slalom run right there.
That replay was so good. Eris has aggression. If you watch her downhill runs, and if you watch her commitment off the lip in whip-off last night, leaning as far back as she could into that steep lip, and then right there, just throwing caution to the wind, roosting that left-hander in the final straightaway. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for the youngster out of New Zealand.
I think it's safe to say she ain't scared.
She ain't scared. So we will load up that bronze medal matchup for the men into the gate right now. It's going to be Nicholas Nesterov facing off head-to-head, bar-to-bar with Tegan Cruz. Tegan Cruz on home soil out here, the BC boy, looking to make friends and family proud on this beautiful Thursday afternoon in Whistler, British Columbia. Bronze medal matchup, run number 1.
Yeah, both riders having to take a bite out of that sour pill and getting eliminated from the gold medal matchup, but here's a chance to get on the podium and walk away with some hardware here in Whistler. Time to leave it all on the course for these guys.
Who do you got? Who do you got in this one?
Oh man, it's too close to tell. You always put me up against a wall here. I'm gonna go Nesterov. I'm gonna go Nesterov. I've seen some momentum out of him.
I'm going Cruz just because he's comfy, he's on home soil. And we've seen him on Crankworx podiums before. He can do it again. That's what I got. We got a nice little friendly battle right here. And, you know, Tegan, my guy, as you call me out for, I always pick the higher qualified rider.
I love the underdog.
You know, you helped me out on that one. You picked first.
Well, I mean, if statistics say anything, Tegan's got a really good chance of getting this bronze because I didn't pick him.
Yeah, you bought me a lot of beer so far this season. We've had, you know, New Zealand beer, Australian beer, Austrian beer. Here we go, Nesterov versus Cruz, run number 1 in this bronze medal matchup for the men.
Gate snaps down, both riders out clean. I cannot tell, looks like Tegan gets a slight advantage, but not a whole lot. Nicholas Nesterov is gonna really be pushing here. It's all gonna come down to these final flat turns on the bottom. Nesterov pulling side by side on Tegan in a slight advantage. That's exactly where he needs to do it. Bounces off that outside, squares it up. Tegan getting loose. And here comes Nesterov accelerating all the way across the line.
I might be buying you beer. Nesterov is looking so fast today.
Nothing is over. No beers are tasted. 0.265 is not a lot of time, but what a run out of Nicholas Nesterov.
Look back. I mean, that moment at the end there where Cruz almost got bucked over the bars in that compression.
Yeah, it happened to be the exact time when Nesterov was pouncing right there. You see him make that quick little move and he gets to the outside, and watch these pedals right there. Nothing but power all the way down to the line, barely staying on the track.
And Nesterov able to straighten out and just lay down the ponies. And this is what it's all about when it comes to peaking at the right moment in dual slalom. Nesterov taking that number 9 qualification spot, and man, 1 step away from a bronze medal for him. Gold medal matchup for the women. Martha Gill, your number 1 qualifier, your leader in the Queen of Crankworx.
I mentioned earlier, no strangers to competing against each other, but not in this category. Usually racing against each other on the Enduro World Cup. But here they're in Whistler on the slalom course. Martha, a lot more experience out here. We haven't seen Ella on a slalom yet this year, but she has made her way all the way to this gold medal matchup, so she's gonna be pushing Martha all the way to the line here.
Ella Connolly, an opportunity to really shake things up right here after Martha Gill's been pretty darn unstoppable all day. But do not count Ella Connolly out. She's your number 3 qualifier. Martha Gill coming off a win at the last stop in Austria. She was 3rd here last year.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Gate comes down, Martha with a solid snap out of the gate right there. Ella playing catch up from the beginning, pulling right against side by side. Martha looking really clean coming out through there. Looks like Ella gets a little hung up out of that turn, maybe in a hard gear. And Martha with an incredible save, double tire drifting down that off camber descent. She's gonna hold on right here, push all the way to the finish line and get that time differential. 0.607 advantage, so over half a second from Martha, taking advantage of being on that left side. Look at that, top 3 times of the day. Martha, Martha, Martha.
I know, it's like unstoppable today, but you know what? She almost took herself out coming into this scrub roller. She was not only close to completely flattening out, she was close to going off course.
Yeah, what a save by Martha Gill. A little bit lower down on the course right here. We're gonna see her double tire drift. That was that part right there where it looked like Ella was a little bit in the wrong gear, but here comes Martha. Oh, look at that. That was like a Ken Block San Francisco Gymkhana drift. Jumping and drifting at the same time.
As loose as it was, that may be the fastest way to get over that thing. Set her up nicely for the next section. Martha Gill owning the fastest times of the day and owning an advantage right now going into one more run to go for that gold medal. And now for the men, the gold medal matchup, run number 1. Jackson Frew and Brady Stone.
It turns out by the skin of your teeth is the fastest way down. These two riders, some of the best at it.
Expect to see both of them hang it all out here in run number 1 of the gold medal matchup.
Jackson's so solid with his starts right there, getting the hole shot. Brady doing what he does. We've seen Brady sort of stalk his competitors throughout this course, let them make the mistake, and really explode at the bottom. Jackson just unbelievably smooth on those top turns. Both riders clean through the off camber. Jackson with an advantage. Can Brady square it up enough? Brady getting that side slide down right there.
You know, one thing I was noticing in that run is Jackson looked calm, cool, collected, yet going just unthinkably fast, you know, posting the fastest time of the day right there. Whereas Brady Stone knew that he's going to need to hang it all out if he was going to come close to threatening Jackson Frew in this first run matchup. Even that start was effortless, but he already gained so much ground.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's about technique and about perfection. You know, anything that's not hard, not like as hard as it can go on aggression, it's there for the precision, and that is really what's making the difference for him. Just staying relaxed, staying calm, unbelievably precise on that smaller bike. Keeping his weight centered. You notice his hips never leave his center of gravity, just above his bottom bracket through the turns. Keeping his traction really consistent with the front and the rear tires by doing that. And so he's not going to be sliding out. You see right there, Brady Stone getting a little buck wild. His weight got a little far forward, so that's going to put more traction on the front and gives the rear end an opportunity to get loose. And that's where Jackson's really killing it today. He's absolutely perfectly centered on his bike, even traction, railing the turns. He really just can't go wrong today.
Good to see Jackson without blood bleeding through his glove as well. You know, he's been pushing through issues the past couple stops and still delivering such impressive performances. But, you know, we're seeing him even more dialed right now, and it's got to have something to do with just, you know, feeling better, not bleeding through his gear.
Yeah, feeling clean. You know, he was saying earlier today he was just happy to be here. And sometimes, I don't know what happened in qualifying, but sometimes when you have that adversity and you find yourself just happy to be there, it takes your mind out of the competition, and then you can just execute, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's killing it.
Yeah, it'd be fun if we get an opportunity to interview him. It sounds like he's got quite a story from the first part of the day. He said, what I've been through already today, and to be here right now, just happy to be here. So as with any of these riders, and so far this season, definitely Jackson Frew, there's always a story coming in, and he always has a tendency to push through and deliver, you know, despite some adversity, and it's always been fun to watch right now. But you know, this is a pretty tight matchup right here. We've seen run number 1 for the bronze medal matchup for the women and the men, and run number 1 for the gold medal matchup for the women and the men. And you know, we're seeing in the women's and the men's our fastest riders in with the advantage also having the fastest times of the day right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's that thing. It's not just about that one fast run with slalom. It's really about how you're building, and that building is so difficult to do on a track like this, because one mistake, it can set your confidence back, and now you're restarting. Okay, how hard can I go in this turn? Was I pushing too far above, and did I get lucky? How hard do I go on this next run? And it really makes it difficult, and I think that's what we're seeing today.
Exciting dual slalom racing, and we're excited for what's to come the rest of the week here. Last year, Harriet Burbage-Smith was at the top step of the podium in our dual slalom race. She's focusing her sights on Red Bull Joyride coming up Saturday. It's exciting to hear, you know, what the anticipation is for her in that big, you know, historic moment coming up on Saturday. Bree's standing by with Harriet right now.
Thanks, Cam. This is the first year for the girls' Red Bull Joyride. What a historic moment for the sport. What are your expectations?
Yeah, it's amazing. Everyone's going out there to have fun, and we've had a whole tour so far on the slopestyle, and I feel like we've all just been learning as much as we can, and it's just an honor to be here.
How does this course compare to the other ones on the tour?
I think they saved the best for last. It's very fast and big, and it's just enjoying it and doing some T2Bs would be super fun.
What are your goals?
I think if I put my run that I'm looking to do together, that's it. That'll be happy, and to watch all the other girls do that too.
Thanks, Haz. Best of luck.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
A lot of anticipation for Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure if you're a slopestyle fan, tune in. If you're not a slopestyle fan, well, get with it and tune in, and we're going to turn you into a slopestyle fan on Saturday because it's going to be amazing. Maybe you're here with us because you're a dual slalom fan and you came to the right place. Martha Gill has been unstoppable all day. Her performance in run number 1 of that gold medal matchup. The stage is set for her to grab that gold and extend that lead in Queen.
Yeah, but if we know anything in head-to-head competition, it's never over. You know, she can't get too comfortable. That's basically what I'm saying. She needs to stay focused. She needs to execute, hit her marks, get to that finish line, and then celebrate.
And she's thrown it all, you know, all caution to the wind. Let's take a look back at run number 1 in the gold medal matchup.
Yeah, run number 1, Martha was executing from the very beginning. She got the whole shot. She was able to stay calm. When you have that rider in your peripheral behind you, you're able to lead the course. You're setting the tone. You're making your competitor chase you, and right there she was pushing a little bit too hard, but just keeping her head forward, keeping her eyes where she wanted to go, not overreacting, really executing on that first round right there.
So confidence and precision from Martha Gill, but some hints at the fact that she is treading her line of comfort. And the comfort of Jackson Frew right now is something we've been talking a lot about. You don't see him loosening up and getting sketchy. Let's take a look back at run number 1.
Yeah, kind of talking about, you know, how he's able to do that. Well, here, we're right here into the women's round.
Well, we're doing it right now. We're not going to see that highlight from run number 1 of the gold medal matchup for the men. We're going to go right into run number 2. This is where we're going to hand out our first medal here today. One of these riders is going to grab the bronze. Will it be Janelle Sukup or Eris van Leuven? Eris has a maximum differential of 1.5.
Yeah, Eris absolutely dropped a hammer of a run on the first round, but she is on her heels right here with Janelle getting the whole shot. Janelle is not ready to just hand this bronze medal over. She is in a great opportunity right now. She's going to push all the way to the finish. Eris pulling right alongside. Here we come. Oh, getting a little bit bucked right there, coming in hot into these flat turns. It looks like Janelle has a little bit of a lead. Eris knows she's got the advantage, back on the pedals. Eris not able to win that round, but plenty for that bronze medal.
She did exactly what she needed to do. Kept it on 2 wheels, finished strong, and secured herself 3rd place bronze medal for Eris van Leuven. Big smile. 2nd day in a row picking up Crankworx hardware.
Another podium for Eris van Leuven right there. I think we're going to be seeing her on a lot more of these Crankworx stops. Let's see how she did it here in the 2nd round. Coming around right there, looking a little offline, but she just never hesitates out of the turns. That's where she's so strong. She's getting pedals in while her tires are still on the berm. Able to accelerate in and out of the turns. Right there is where I thought she might have lost it, getting a little nose heavy. Having a shortened brake section, but able to get it under control and just keep it on 2 wheels long enough to get that bronze medal.
Aggression, that's the word that comes to mind now as we're getting to know Eris van Leuven. An aggressive rider from New Zealand who can tackle so many different disciplines and end up on the podium. Well, who's gonna find themselves on the podium here? The bronze medal matchup, run number 2 for the men. Tegan Cruz versus Nick Nesterov. Nesterov with the advantage of .265.
0.265 advantage for Nesterov. Will it be enough to get me that beer? We're about to find out. Both riders out really clean right there. Nesterov getting that whole shot. Tegan Cruz looking really, really solid right here. Nesterov not wanting to override. He knows he's got the lead. He needs to do just enough and not too much. Oh, getting pedals down that off camber. Really, really fast out of Nesterov right there. And here comes Tegan Cruz pulling up alongside. We've seen it happen all day long.
Tegan's pushing, but it's not going to be enough. Nicholas Nesterov grabs the bronze medal. Impressive performance out of the 9th place qualifier. When we took a look at the start list today and we saw the big names at the top of the leaderboard, well, those names did not find themselves into the medal rounds. Nicholas Nesterov able to really get faster as the day progressed. Great smooth run here against Tegan Cruz.
Not only this being the best mountain bike festival there is, it also will bring out the best in the riders. Seeing these riders kind of finding themselves in the moment, seeing opportunity. Nesterov snatching up that bronze medal. So stoked to see him out here pushing the limits. Looking really clean here. Tegan had a solid line in there, but it wasn't enough. Pedaling and drifting, wheeling through.
Well, another fourth place there for Tegan Cruz. He had fourth in the pump track in Rotorua to start this 2024 season. And now time for the big final here, the gold medal matchup. Run number 2 for the women. Martha Gill has the advantage. It is sizable. It's .607 over Ella Connolly. Martha Gill pushing hard in run number 1, loosening up over that scrub roller. She needs a consistent run right here. Stay on the bike, and as you put it, keep that rider in your peripheral, right behind you just enough. Keep yourself comfortable with that .607 advantage. Can Martha Gill take that number 1 qualifying result and convert that to a gold medal?
If I could tell Martha what I thought she needed to do right now, I'd say go 110% on the first half of the course, and then just see where you are and do only what you need to do to get to the finish line ahead.
Great advice right now, especially considering the bottom of the course is, without a doubt, the most volatile. We've seen crazy stuff happen in the gold medal matchup on these last few corners.
Yeah, taking out Jill Kintner earlier, our fastest qualifier. Thought she was going to come in for an upset. But here we go. Solid start out of Martha Gill right there. 110%. I think that's what she's doing. Oh, and she overcooks that turn a little bit. She was a bit high. So hard on the brakes, where Ella would not have been hard on the brakes. So let's see if that's going to be enough to carry that momentum through to the finish line out of Ella.
Ella pushing.
Ella getting that lead right there. This is where the track's going to get faster for Ella, and Martha falling a little bit further behind. Will it be enough? Ella cranking across.
The magic number is .607. Oh, she was so close, but it's not going to be enough. Martha Gill grabs the gold medal, delivering on that number 1 qualifying result.
You see Martha shaking her head. She saw exactly what I saw. That mistake up high almost cost her. She was able to rein it back in and stay just close enough to Ella. But Ella, man, what an amazing, amazing run out of her, carrying that momentum from the top all the way through those flat turns.
You almost messed her up. You were advising her to go 110% of the first half of the course. She overcooked into that left-hander. Oh boy, had to slow down, hit the brakes, but great recovery.
110% online. Yeah, she was a little bit wide there too.
Yep.
So a couple of mistakes, a couple of understeers, maybe just trying to take it a little bit too easy, knowing that it was her event to lose at that point.
I mean, that was as close as we've seen in a high-pressure situation for a while right there. Just a 1/10 of a second away from taking that gold. Ella Connolly really was going for it. Oh, your winner, Bree's standing with her.
I'm here with our winner of the specialized dual slalom. Martha, Ella did not make that one easy for you.
She didn't. I think I came into that second run a bit too complacent and just started making mistakes from the top. And then I was getting closer and closer to the bottom, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God. I thought Ella had got it, but that was some good racing.
It was great racing. How important was it to be patient, particularly down the bottom?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to come in that section hotter, but I knew I had to brake to be able to set up because those flat corners are so crucial.
You've extended your lead in the Queen standings. What's the plan for pump track?
Just try and do as good as I can do.
Congratulations, best of luck.
Thank you. Woo!
You know what? Exactly, you know, what you were saying. You know, she basically laid it out. A little bit of complacency is the way she put it at the start, thinking, .607, I got this. But man, that can slip away real fast. And Ella Connolly really put the pressure on Martha Gill, forcing her to earn that gold medal. And as Bree just noted, extend that lead for the Queen of Crankworx coming into tonight's pump track race. See if she can wrap it up. She definitely did her job for the first portion of the day, but her job is far from over here on this busy Thursday, Crankworx Whistler 2024, where we have some more medals to give away right here. Nicholas Nesterov secured the bronze moments ago. A look back at run number 1 in our men's gold medal matchup here between Jackson Frew and Brady Stone.
Yeah, just look how centered Jackson is on his bike. His body weight is centered right over where it needs to be to give him consistent traction on his tires, and that's allowing him to be much more aggressive than his competitors. We saw right here, look at Brady, he's trying to catch up, he's pushing really hard, and this is what happens when you're trying to play catch up. Right there, just gets offline by about ½ an inch in those marbles, and that dry dirt grabs your tires. So, with the advantage, he still needs to stay precise and keep doing what he's doing. I don't think he needs to lay up at all. I think I think Jackson's really in a good place. He's found where that line is, and he needs to push all the way to the finish here.
Well, it all comes down to this for the men. Jackson Frew, the man who took the win here just a year ago. Opportunity to do it 2 years in a row. Jackson Frew with 1.1 ahead of Brady Stone. Gold medal matchup.
Our number 5 and number 10 qualifiers. But the last two up here, this is what's gonna be. Did you see those power pedals? That's a power wheelie, ladies and gentlemen. That was out of Jackson. Look at Jackson just jumping in perfectly on line right there, pedaling down the section that is probably the most dangerous. Brady keeping him honest. He's gonna try to squirt this up. Brady double tire drifting in. And look at Jackson, no pedals in, just calm, cool, and collecting a gold medal.
Well, you know what? He did exactly what you recommended Martha do in the gold medal matchup, run number 2, 110% at the top, and make sure you can just casually cruise through the finish line. Jackson Frew, a well-earned gold medal.
Look at this right there. Look at that power wheelie from one obstacle to the next, accelerating with the momentum of his tires in the transition and the pedaling at the same time. And this right here, watch this jump in. Tires perfectly where they need to go, in and out of the turn. I was really surprised right there, pedaling down that off-camber backside right there, so loose.
So Jackson Frew mentioned it's been a crazy day. He ended up winning the event. I can't wait to hear what the story of this day was. Bree?
And we've got our 2024 Dual Slalom winner, Jackson, back-to-back wins, but this one must feel good.
Yeah, that feels really good. I put it on the ground this morning and had a pretty big crash and really had to find myself through the day, and yeah, that feels really good to put it done.
We saw Gilly get knocked out earlier. Did that change your strategy or mindset coming in?
No, there's so many incredible competitors in this discipline now that it doesn't matter who's there or not. You've just got to give everything against everyone, and yeah, it feels good to put it together.
And some good points for the standings. What's the plan for the pump track?
Same thing.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
What a performance out of Jackson Frew right there. Well, we got a little bit of insight into some of the hurdles he had to jump over today. Before this dual slalom race, he was sitting 27 points behind Tohoto for second place in the King standings. Gotta think this is gonna help him. He's gonna pick up 100 points there, potentially moving into second place. But congratulations goes to all of our competitors out there right now. We're taking a look at the way the cookie crumbled for the men's category. Jackson Frew with the gold, Brady Stone with the silver, and Nick Nesterov with the bronze. We definitely, you know what, a gold medal from Whistler means so much, not only because the prestige of being right here in Whistler Village, but in slalom, this is one of our most challenging courses. You talk about it just being a little bit steeper angle. The crowd here plays into things. The added riders who show up to this stop, and you know, that gold medal, you see Martha and Jackson holding right there. That's going to mean a lot to those riders that will just add it to a trophy case that is already quite decorated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you're saying, how fine the line was that the riders were riding on this course here today. You know, just to see and to hear that Jackson, you know, had that adversity earlier in the day, and talking about how that, you know, the underdog is kind of the most dangerous rider on the course, and to see him pick it up and really focus in and make it happen today, I'm stoked for him.
Yeah, we're very stoked for him, and he's got to be stoked as well because it does not take a mathematician to figure out if he was 27 points out of second place before this race and he just picked up 100 points. Let's take a look at what the King of Crankworx overall standings looks like now. Ryan Gilchrist, of course, picked up some points, wasn't able to make it into the medal rounds like he had hoped, but Jackson Frew adding 100 points, look at that, into second place. These are riders that we will see compete together in pump track and speed and style. Of course, none of them are guaranteed spots into the round of 8 matchups, which is when our broadcast picks the story up. But the story is far from over today since we have pump track later on. And now look at an updated standings for the Queen of Crankworx, Martha Gill, extending an extra 100 points next to her name. Jordy Scott sitting in second. We will undoubtedly see her in pump track and speed and style as well. So nobody locking it up yet here in the Specialized Dual Slalom Whistler, which keeps the excitement rolling for pump track later tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Pump track, I mean, all of our contenders are really, really solid in the pump track category, so it's going to be one of the better races we've seen all year, I'm sure.
We love seeing people win things. We love seeing people stand on the top of the podium. And we want to see you win something as well. So we've been tracking all the most entertaining comments on the Crankworx YouTube comment section on today's live broadcast of the Specialized Dual Slalom Whistler. For those of you that are here, whether you commented or not, we join you. We welcome you to join us for the pump track broadcast coming up later. But I'm hearing in my ear right now, we actually have a winner of this t-shirt that's signed by Tohoto Ariki Penny, Martha Gill, Kyle Strait, and more. Who's it gonna be, my friends? Who's it gonna be? The winner is, drum roll, MTB Chiller. Congratulations. I'm gonna see if I can make it all the way to your front door. All right, hit the camera for once. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Congratulations to our winners out there in our Specialized Dual Slalom Whistler. Thanks for joining us, and please join us again for Pump Track coming up later on tonight. See you then.